A very good morning to you, Merle. So, tell us what you've found, how to tackle the situation.
Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. I think that for us, it's important to always, reiterate that dropout is not a singular event and therefore is something that is preventable. In many cases, young people are very committed to their school lives. They want to, make a success of their education, but they face a number of, issues that impact their lives within the school space and outside of the school space. And one of those things is definitely, how they experience school life and what school culture is like. So what are the values, norms, behaviors, within these school spaces? And young people often can feel that they are, just passive recipients of kind of education and they have to move through the system. And that can heighten disengagement and eventually does lead to dropout. So, having young people as active participants in school spaces does definitely serve as protective factors to disengagement.
Okay, I guess one of the problems in this country is that there are so many factors at play, and just one example is kids who have to walk miles through dangerous environments to get to school. So there's so many. It's a holistic approach, I guess.
Absolutely. We talk about push and pull factors. So things like long distances from school, things like living in communities that have high incidence of violence. All of those things play into a learner's experience of life, but also of school life. But what we've seen is that when a learner finds their school space as a safe space and as a place where they are, instilled with hope, so as a hopeful space, it is something that drives them and motivates them to overcome even those barriers. And sometimes, if learners are accessing those school spaces as areas and spaces in which they can find support and also motivate themselves, learners have a better chance and a greater likelihood of succeeding.
How do you get that support and motivation that learners need?
So it absolutely starts with us first recognizing that, learners aren't the passive participants in education and that they are actually a vital stakeholder in the whole value chain. And I think once we start thinking about how a learner experiences our school spaces, so what kind of relationships do our teachers and our learners have, what kind of platforms and systems exist within our school spaces where learners can give us feedback and critique and where we can talk, to learners about being self-aware and practicing agency. Are we creating that kind of space within our environments that allows that? Is it a safe space for learners to report, for instance, or to come and ask for assistance and help? From what we've been hearing across the provinces in South Africa, when we speak to learners about what perpetuates dropout, we hear things like corporal punishment, adults who don't listen to them, sexual harassment from teachers and peers, bullying in school systems. And so learners feeling that they aren't protected, that they aren't safe, and are less likely to engage with the school system meaningfully.
All right, so how do you get teachers to become more interested and more observant to what's happening? And also, once somebody's dropped out, how do you get them back in again?
So, the most important thing is prevention. And we're saying that, once someone is disengaged, there's a long period of time before they actually drop out. Learners usually start off with, missing school quite often or displaying behavior that is either disengaged, so they're sitting in class disinterested or they're disruptive. And it's important for us as teachers as well as, people who work within school spaces to acknowledge that, to see that, to act on that, so that before that disengagement becomes dropout, we can prevent it. Once a learner has dropped out of school, many of our partners have found that going to find a learner, finding out what is the issue, what is the problem, and working with learners to re-engage them back into the school system is a process that can occur, but it takes a longer period of time. So investing our energy in when the learner is in front of us, are we doing everything we can to connect with them, to ensure that we are responding to their individual needs? So do we even know what those needs are? And sometimes in our school system, we look at learners as one group and clump of kids. And yet they are so heterogeneous in terms of needs in one class system. And so thinking about tracking learners individually, so that they can have that individual care that they need, and responding to when the risk factors start, peeping up and the red flags start peeping up. So early enough that we can prevent the risk of dropout.
Okay, Mel, good to talk to you. Thank you.